Ethiopia. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, what do you think we should start the program?
Okay, yeah, let's start.
Okay, thank you so much everyone for joining us. My name is Bezawar. I am program grantee at Partner American Corner. Thank you so much, Amanuel Wubie, for being our guest speaker, and I would like to thank all of you for joining us. My colleague, Ketina, thank you so much for organizing this program. So today's program will be on cybersecurity information session on information security in aspect of Ethiopia. So we will have this program, consecutive programs for the October week, since we celebrate October as a cybersecurity month. So our program will be led by our guest speaker. He is Amanuel Wubie. Thank you so much, Amanuel. Amanuel is a successful in information technology specialist in security. He's a leader and he has a lot of experience, practical experience in information technology operations, information risk, compliance, and enterprise IT infrastructure. He's also highly skilled in building reliable IT infrastructure, which is a state-of-the-art information security posture and cybersecurity program development. So thank you so much, Amanuel, for being with us. I hope this program will be a very insightful program for all of us, especially for Ethiopians. This program is focused on cybersecurity or information security in Ethiopia. I hope all of you will get good insight. Thank you so much, Amanuel. The stage is yours.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Biza.
Tell us about yourself. We'd like to know more about you.
Sure, I do have a dedicated about me slide, but yeah, of course. So my name is Amanuel Wubie. I have been in the information technology industry here in Ethiopia for quite some time now. In the past, I started my career in IT with basic information technology, networking technology paths, and afterwards I've had the privilege to get my hands very much dirty with deep technical engagements, specific projects on different technologies with different vendors with different customers here in Ethiopia. I've had the pleasure to actually help Ethiopian enterprise customers, government offices, and financial institutions to build the right infrastructure, help secure it, as well as keep and maintain an ongoing and consistent information security posture. So in all that time, I've always been a technical inclined individual. In the past few years, I've had the pleasure of getting my skills sharpened on the aspect of information security. On that aspect, I have progressed a lot on international certifications, vendor specific and vendor neutral certifications. Some of the certifications I've done, as you can see on this slide. If you can see, it is I am a certified ethical hacker. I have a certified information system security professional accreditation from the International Consortium of Security Standards, and I have had the pleasure to apply my skills and knowledge on these aspects. And that's just a little bit brief about me. Can everyone see my screen clearly? Are you guys seeing the first slide that I've shared?
Right now, your screen is not visible.
Okay, you are not seeing my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you reshare it?
Okay, let me do that. All right. Okay, can you see my slides now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So that's a little bit brief about me. So regarding this information security in Ethiopia topic, we have actually planned with GitNet to take 4 weeks to deep dive into very critical and important aspects of information security, and we have planned to do that in 4 separate phases or 4 separate topics. The first one will be focusing on people aspect of information security. The second one will be focusing on processes. The third one will be on technology, and on the 4th week we'll be going through how exactly.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, some audience are interrupting us, so let you reshare again.
Okay. Someone actually shared their mobile.
Yeah, I removed him. So.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll just keep it here for ease of convenience. Yeah. So we have a 4 weeks plan to go through people, process, technology in the general today Ethiopian information security landscape, and how we should go in, how we will look tomorrow. And
I think your screen share is stop working.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, you can continue now.
Okay. So yeah, that's the general agenda. Is, as I just mentioned, we'll have 4 parts session on focusing on information security in Ethiopia. I would like to again extend my gratitude to Bardar American Corner for organizing this specific session. A little bit about the overall session. We are not going to deep dive into very detailed technical stuff. We are going to keep it on the basic. As everyone here might know, information security is a pretty vast topic, so we want to keep it as comprehensible as possible. So we're going to keep it simple. The focus of this session will be the enterprise security aspect of the business. When we say security, we have quite a lot of security components. One very famous and very applicable field of information security is enterprise security. So we'll try to make our discussion focused on that specific part as much as possible. Then when I go through this session, I will try to contextualize to the Ethiopian cyberspace as much as I can. Though, since information security is an international phenomena, contextualizing to Ethiopia is going to be a little bit more difficult, but we'll try to keep it tied with Ethiopian context as much as possible. And I would like to point out that all of the presentation that I'm going to make, as well as the information I'm going to extend here, is going to only reflect to my professional opinions. It is my observation from my experience as well as my engagement in the field. So let's try to keep the understanding in that context. And in my presentation, I'll try to point out some tips that can be leveraged by students, engineers, and aspiring professionals to guide their career as well as to focus their attention on. I was seeing the attendance registered here are mostly beginner level engineers or technicians, so I'll try to give some pointers on the specific topics I'm discussing so that people can benefit out of this the most. So with that, I'll just jump right into the session. So when we are talking about information security, in general sense, we have to keep in mind these 2 components of information security to have a complete understanding of what to do and how to do it.
Would you make it presentation mode?
Yes, I can. Let me do that. The thing is, when I do that, I have to go back and forth when someone interrupts me. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, we can see from the screen.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, information security has three main pillars that we are always discussing or talking about, which needs to be one, understood, two, carefully designed, and three, consistently improved. So these pillars need to be in the minds of professionals or in the minds of information technology people, so that all operations in the information security engagements can be effective. So these pillars are the people, the process, and the technology pillars. Without these three, there is really not any technology that can operate in the intended manner. So there is always the people aspect, there is always the process aspect, and there is always the technology aspect of information security or technology when we are discussing in detail. So the goal of taking a deep dive and look at these three components is always intending to assure three main goals. These three main goals are confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data or information. So what we want to secure is information, and what by secure we mean we want to keep the confidentiality, keep the integrity, and assure the availability of information wherever it's stored or being transmitted on. So this is the goal of information security, and in the meantime, in order to get to that goal, we use these three pillars in almost a day-to-day basis. Yeah. So the first one is people, the second one is process, the third one is technology. So our session is going to be structured in a manner where in the first week we are going to discuss people, in the second week we are going to discuss processes, and in the third week we are going to see the technology aspect of the pillars. So by people, what do we mean by people? So when we are talking about people, the component of the enterprise information security that is always that's always at the hearts and heads of professionals is the people component. The reason being, at every stage of any information technology engagement, people are at the very center of it. So in our discussions or when we are talking about information security, when we say people, we are talking about one, shareholders or owners or the top level management of any organization. Two, we are talking about the employees in management of the organization. Three, we are talking about the customers, clients, suppliers. That means people that are going to get services from the organization. And also we are talking about service providers, contractors, consultants, which basically means people that are going to have a stake at how our information security is going to be structured. We also have authorities and third-party considered as people in information security. So this is what we call by the people. So whenever you see an information security engagement and it says we focus on people, they are saying that they are focusing on not only the employees. That doesn't mean not only the employees, but also the management, the owners, the customers, service providers, contractors, everyone that has any kind of interaction with the information technology infrastructure of an organization is considered people in the information security pillars. So these people are a very critical component of our information security, and at the same time, while they are very critical, they are, or the people component of information security is where our biggest threats arise. So our biggest threats arise from the people component of information security. What do I mean by that? Information security, computers or any kind of computing infrastructure by itself cannot be harmful or cannot be considered a threat. It's only when you factor in the people that are operating the computers or the computing power, that you can call it a threat. So people are the source of the threat at the same time. They are our most important assets, but at the same time, people are going to be our biggest threat sources. So what do you mean by that? We are talking about social engineers that are preparing some kind of malicious campaigns to attack an organization. We are talking about unethical competitors that are trying to gather about some information or your customer data in order to have business competition edge over an organization. We are talking about evil intentioned hackers that are trying to break into the system and cause some kind of harm. And at the same time, we are talking about careless workers, fraudsters, bugs, flaws, and all of these, including many more. There are a very vast threat landscape out there that is at a consistent growth against and at a constant threat against enterprise organizations. And one thing all of the threats has in common is that all of the threats are caused by people. So that's a very critical thing to keep in mind, because that specific component of the people component of our threats will help us build the proper information security when we move forward and take a look at the solutions later on. Yeah, so at the same time, we talked that the people are our biggest threats. At the same time, an organization can only admit that people at the same time are the biggest assets in an organization or in an information security program. How do we mean by that? Hackers are people that have evil intentions or harmful intentions towards an organization, and professional defenders, ethical hackers, trained employees, security professionals, industry leaders are at the same time people that are ready to assist an organization to keep their information security or to maintain their information security. So with the exact same note that we say people are our biggest source of threats, we are saying that people are our biggest assets in this battle. So if we say people are our greatest assets, what can we do to how do we leverage these assets in our information security? And the answer to that question is we organize the people in a way that would enable us or enable an organization to protect themselves against the ever-growing information security threat landscape that's out there. So the best way of organizing the people aspect of the information security is usually outlined in international frameworks that have specified recommendations that we can use. Most of the recommendations I'm going to give here are going to be available out there on the internet, standard frameworks, recommendations by international information security organizations. For example, the one you see on my screen is people organizational structure that is pulled from the ITIL IT management framework, which is pretty effective and usually applied in most companies all over the world, which is also the case in Ethiopia as well. So most enterprise organizations like government offices, financial services, industries, big NGOs have more or less this kind of structure. So by this organization, as you can see, we have two major separate organizations under the CIO and under the CISO. The CIO is mainly looking after the IT side of things, and the CISO is mainly looking after the information security aspect of things. I will dig deeper into each component on my next slides. So how did we separate these two people organization technique into functions? So we have two, when we are talking about people in an organization, as discussed earlier, we said that our source is people, which is basically meaning hackers, attackers, or evil people that are trying to break into our infrastructure or compromise the TI of our infrastructure. At the same time, our biggest asset is people, which is the employees in information technology, information security professionals that are in the organization. So we're talking about how do we segregate or separate the people that are working in an organization to keep the infrastructure, the information, and the data safe from malicious intentions. So in discussing that, we are seeing that in most cases it's recommended to keep the information technology and information security functions separate in an organization. This does have a lot of benefits in assuring efficiency as well as cost saving, because the two domains of the information security and the information technology functions cannot be really mixed in larger organizations. So when in my experience, I have seen a lot of mid-sized organizations or small-sized organizations who have managed to survive with the emerged IT and information security functions. But when we move up and into the larger organizations, we usually see these two functions being segregated and separated. And that does provide a lot of flexibility to really and actually achieve the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data or information we discussed earlier on. So let's dig deeper into what do you mean by IT. So the reason I actually decided to have this segmentation between IT, to present this segmentation between IT and security is because it's usually misunderstood in a way that IT and information security roles are not critically or really understood. So IT has a separate function from information security. So what do you mean by IT? IT in most instances is talking about the overall information technology infrastructure and making sure that the infrastructure is up and running and connectivity is established, emails are working, the infrastructure is on a healthy status. That's majorly the function of IT. And when we are talking about IT, we have different roles in this function. The first role can be called the architecture role, which is a very high-level kind of role where professionals or people or information technology professionals that are working on this role specifically has to have both a technical mind at the same time business or organizational objective mind. By that I mean these guys are the guys that are supposed to find a balance in a healthy relationship or a harmony between the technology and the business strategy, and these are the guys that has to look ahead 3, 4, 5, 10, 25 years ahead and plan the organization information technology or the IT functions in that manner. So we call these guys the architecture division or the architecture professionals. The second group of professionals that we see in the IT function is the engineering function. So in the engineering, these guys usually have a vast skill set of expertise on network security, compute, storage, workstations, servers, database, anything that is running in the infrastructure. These engineers has some say or some kind of involvement in it. And the way they have that involvement is these guys design, deploy, maintain, and retire all of these technologies that are used within an enterprise. So these guys have a mindset of designing as well as deploying as well as maintaining, and these are very technical, very detailed technical engineers that are usually assigned on this department or group of people. Then the third one is operations. The third part of IT function is operations, which basically means these people are responsible for making sure the IT infrastructure that has been designed, deployed, and maintained by the engineering team is actually being operated on in an optimal, efficient, and cost-effective manner. The IT operations is one of the most overlooked functions in IT. Without the specific IT operations department or the IT operations function, information technology cannot really meet its objective, and there will be a lot of wastage in the return on investment, or most of the investments is not effective. Which is actually, in my experience, one of this function is one of the underperformed functions in a lot of enterprise companies in Ethiopia. This is including big investors in the government, financial services, NGOs. So in my exposure, I have noticed that we do not really have that much investment on the operation side of IT. But we need to keep in mind that people need to work on this specific operations component in an organized manner, because it's at the end of the day, it's the operations aspect of IT is the one that's making sure that the investment, the time, the money that's being put into the IT infrastructure is actually operating in a manner that's effective and efficient. So I have put here in the picture some of the IT operations that can be discussed, but since this has a lot of IT operations and this is a very vast topic, I will not go in detail onto every single one of them. But I would say for aspiring young engineers and entry-level information technology professionals, this is something, skills on this area of IT is something that you can learn out there on the internet or wherever you have access, and this can give you an edge to provide value to organizations or wherever you are working at. So operations is a very, very critical component of IT. Moving on to the second component, we are now moving into the information security functions. Just like how we separated the IT functions into architecture, engineering, and operations, now we deep dive into InfoSec. So information security, as I said, is a totally different function from IT. So as such, it has different objectives. IT's objectives is usually, in most cases, it's to make sure that everything is connected, to make sure that everything is working, and to make sure that service is being delivered in the fastest and most reliable way. When we come to the information security function, our objective here is going to be to protect whatever is being transmitted or whatever is being worked on through the IT function, to protect that information or data from any kind of risk or threats. So as such, information security function takes risk management as one of its major components. So risk management basically means in an enterprise organization, the organization has to list out what kind of assets that are existing in the organization. Those specific assets has to be assessed as compared to a risk management or risk assessment methodology, and that methodology will give us an insight into which assets in an organization are important, which are very important, which are critical. And when we have this kind of segmentation or classification in our assets, we can map those classifications into vulnerabilities, threats, and risks. And based on that, we will have a very high level view as to where should we focus our information security efforts. So an organization, after implementing a risk management program, can see which assets are the most important so that they can invest on those assets. Based on that, this risk management basically drives the whole engagement of the information security functions. So basically, identifying risks, assessing risk, controlling risk, and reviewing controls is at the heart of the risk management of the business here. The second component of the information security function is security operations. Earlier we discussed about the network or the IT operations. Now we are coming to the information security operations. These information security or security operations is usually conducted on or usually conducted by the SOC team. Most large organizations have a dedicated security operations team, which are in a general sense looking after what information security incidents are happening in an organization. They detect incidents, they analyze incidents, they respond to incidents, and at the end they make sure that those incidents are well documented and lesson learned are taken from that specific incident. So this is a very, very vast aspect of information security. This requires a lot of manpower, this requires a lot of technical skill sets, especially on the areas of operating system, network, infrastructure. This requires those specific skill sets. So the information security function is, in a general sense, it's a warehouse where group of people in an organization can have a visibility of the kind of threats an organization is facing, and they will have the capability to respond to those threats at the same time. Then at the same time, we in the Security Operations Center, we also mention a concept of Security Incident Response Team, which is basically an in-house or an outsourced team which has the capability to respond to incidents, and these guys are usually brought into organizations on a case-by-case basis. For example, an organization can have a local IT or information security team that's looking after the security operations, but whenever incidents or breaches or hacks happen that are outside of the skill sets or control of the organization, they usually call in the cyber incident response teams to come in and assist with the detection, the remediation, the recovery in every step of the incident response operations. So these are usually specialized, more like a SWAT kind of group of team, that group of people that are specifically specialized in information security. The next component of information security function is compliance. This compliance is mostly overlooked, except for some specific sectors like the financial services industry. Because when we are talking about compliance, there is compliance against international standards and there is compliance against internal standards. So most organizations do not have compliance prepared for their own internal operations. So the efficiency and effectiveness of IT operations is being rarely measured. This compliance usually helps people to assess how they are doing on specific areas of information security or information technology. So by compliance, in most cases what we do, or in my experience what we do, is we adopt some international compliance or some international standards that are available out there to be adopted to local kind of context and be utilized by organizations. Some of these, if there is anyone taking some notes or want to check it out, some of standards that we use in the information security operations is we can say ISO 27000 standards. We can talk about the American NIST standards that are very complete and comprehensive, and that will give you a lot of information exactly how to go about implementing risk management framework, information system security management system. Different components of information security can be mapped to one of these two standards. There is also other standards that are being used all over the world, but in my experience, the ones that I have worked with is ISO 27001 and NIST, and they are very complete. And for people that are interested, to get into this specific component of information security. Most resources on these topics are readily available online, so you can just look it up and spend a few hours to educate yourself on those topics. Yeah, so we just discussed about the functions. We were to go back a couple of steps and make highlights. We went through we have an understanding that people are our largest source of threats. At the same time, they are our most useful and important assets. In as assets, we need to understand how to work with people in an organization, or how to organize them in order to improve an organization's information security posture. So as such, we just had a look at we separated the people into the IT function and information security function. In the IT function, we have different engagements. In the information security function, we have different engagements. So in the information security engagement, apart from separating people or organizing people in functions, we...
Sorry, Aman.
Yes.
Please reshare it again. Sorry. Please reshare it again.
Okay, I'll do that. All right. Can you see my screen? Are you able to see my slide now? Okay.
Yeah, you can continue.
Okay, perfect. So apart from making the functional distinction on how people contribute to information security, now we will go to the skills component. What kind of skills are we talking about in information security? And in this specific component or part, people may have some information on what to focus on, what kind of skills to observe, and how to exactly maybe structure their engagement in order to have a larger kind of contribution on information security. So before I jump into this section, does anyone have any questions they want to raise, or is there any question in the chat box? Okay, yeah, Gitinat, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. I can see your screen.
Okay. So if there is no question, I'll move right on. So information security skills. When we are talking about information security skills, this exact segment is where all of our discussion and all of our information security effort come into real applications. So by people, one of our, as we said, that people are our most important assets in information security. So any organization that's out there, that is government, financial services, NGOs, businesses, basically any organization that has information and data they want to keep safe, needs to have people or needs to have technology professionals that are invested or that are working specifically on information security. So how should these people be evaluated on the basis of skills? So when we are talking about skills on information security, one, we are talking about skills in knowledge, including hardware, software, and networks. This is one of the most important components of the skills that we talk on information security. By hardware, we can talk about hardware structures, we can talk about maintenance skills, we can talk about general understanding of how IT hardwares work, so that they will be able to better understand how the malicious attackers or malicious users think and how they go about attacking an infrastructure. So having that understanding about hardware will give them a specific mindset or view to defend their infrastructure. The second component is software. Software is yet another very critical component. On the software component, I would say operating systems take majority of the knowledge that you need to have, because you need to have very, very detailed knowledge on how Microsoft operating system works, how Linux operating system works. If you understand the underlying principles, foundations, and components of operating systems, then you are in a better position to do forensics as well as do incident response to cyber security incidents. Another component of software is software that is currently or actively being utilized by organizations. This includes software that are installed on workstations or some server softwares like ERP or some other components of software that are being used in an organization. You as information security professionals should also have some level of knowledge on this aspect of the IT as well. And again, network, that's obviously given. Network is another critical component. Network, information security professionals needs to understand network infrastructure, the OSI layer 1 to layer 7, how it works, what kind of protocols are running on each layer, what are standards of configurations on each layer, what is layer 3, what's layer 2, what's VLAN, what's broadcast domain. Those kind of details are very, very important and handy in becoming a very good information security professional. I would say another critical component of being an information security professional is you need to have meticulous attention to details. So information security, besides having the knowledge to understand the certain components of IT, you really need to have a very, very critical or very stringent or well-developed attention to details, because it's all about detecting very small components of information events and having the capability to correlate and understand those events in a way that would make sense to you and to be able to be mapped into an incident, information security incident framework or detection framework. So details is another critical component that's required to become an information security professional. I would say another one is you need to have logic and reasoning capabilities or mindset that would go a very long way. Another one is a forensics approach to challenge. In my experience, most professionals in the information security market have this specific forensics approach to challenge. So if you are a person that has this specific mentality or approach to challenge, this would help you quite a lot in your journey in information security. The other one is we need to have a kind of a deep understanding on how exactly hackers work, and we need to have a capability, or we need to have a mechanism to keep ourselves up to date on the latest trending information security techniques, tactics, and how the hackers are going about doing their business. So having this mentality requires for you to actually be disciplined enough to invest yourself on your craft, at the same time to be able to understand the overall information security life cycle, I would say. So this is yet another critical component. For example, in my experience, for this specific target, I did my CAH, that is a Certified Ethical Hacker, which is a very deep technical certificate that would enable you to train yourself as a hacker, that will give you all the skill sets to effectively hack a system, the principles, the knowledge, the tools to get to that level, and afterwards you can use that knowledge to effectively defend your organization against ethical hackers. And I would, besides this technical or more or less professional skills, I would say another critical and really appreciated component of information security is you need to have a communication and interpersonal skills, because as an incident responder, as a fixer, you are required to communicate with a lot of technology people. It could be third-party contractors, consultants, employees, management. There is a lot of people involved in information security, so you need to have communication and interpersonal skills to get the job done. Another one would be character is yet another critical, very critical component. Character, honesty, compassion, care, respect, integrity, trustworthiness. These are absolutely mandatory, expected from information security professionals. Because when you are an information security professional, organizations, government, a lot of people have actually trusted you enough to bring you into their infrastructure, to give you an opportunity to solve a specific needs that they have, so that you will need to conduct your business in a professional and very trustworthy manner. So that's another critical component of information security, which should always be developed and which should always be respected wherever you are or whatever you are doing. Yeah, so that is more or less my view on skill sets in an information security people aspect. In this slide, you will see what the top growing cybersecurity skills are in 2021 and going forward. So as you can see, application development security, cloud security, risk management, threat intelligence, incident response are in the top. I'm sure you will have the recording of this session later on, so you can pause it and take a look in details. So this is where the world is going. And at the same time, this is where Ethiopia is going. We need these specific skill sets to assure our digital transformation journey, and we need these skill sets to actually be able to help organizations secure their infrastructure. Another one is this is just another slide to mention some skills that are really required in information security. Again, you can pause here and take a look at the details. Yeah, so when we are talking about information security skills, we also should mention a little bit about career paths. So as you can see, information security, there is a very vast opportunity to engage yourself in entry-level engagements. Then there is senior level engagements, managerial level engagements, director level, VP level, all the way up to the Chief Information Security Officer. So from the very bottom entry level all the way up to the Chief Information Security Officer level, you will need to acquire a lot of technical, interpersonal, professional, managerial, strategic, business skills and knowledge to actually make your information security journey a lot more successful. So there is a lot of opportunities, a lot of readily available positions all over Ethiopia for this specific information security journey. And so long as you have the skills, you develop the skills we just discussed, you should have a very good start point to guide your career. And this just to give you a little bit of context as to how the information security career is structured. Yeah, you can pause here and take a look in detail if you want to. This is the same thing that we just saw on the previous slide, but in a little bit more detail. Yeah, so after saying that, as we just discussed, we do have a very, very vast opportunity to work on the people aspect of information security. And in Ethiopia, specifically, we do have...
Sorry, Amanuel.
Yes,
sorry,
yes.
Amanuel. Your screen, please reshare it again.
All right, all right.
Sorry for the disruption.
That's all right, that's all right. Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah, you can continue.
All right. So, as we just discussed, information security has one of its pillars defined as people. And when we are talking about people, we have very much vast components. And we just specifically discussed about the information security and information technology team of people that are majorly contributing to information security. So as we just discussed, Ethiopia has started our new digital transformation journey, which is going to affect our next 5-10 years in a very big way. So the skill sets for information technology and information security is on high demand. And the skill sets that we just discussed will give you a very big advantage to start your career or move up into your career path. And as you can see on my screen now, in the future, defenses will be actually be done by the guy that's sitting on the desk, the cybersecurity guy. So it's no longer the physical war that's going to, or the physical war that's going to shape the momentum in the direction of the world going forward. We have left that kind of story quite a few years ago, quite a few decades ago. So in the future, we are moving to a digital era, a digital economy, a digital world. So having information security skills and developing them would be highly appreciated. And as citizens of Ethiopia, we are also required to develop these skills in-house, to be organized and to be organized and structured enough to actually bring about a cybersecurity culture in Ethiopia, which would most assuredly provide information security assurance to the digital transformation journey of Ethiopia. So with that, I have finished my slides. Thank you very much for giving me this few minutes to discuss my idea on information security. This is my email for those of you who want to contact me. I'm also very much available and active on LinkedIn, so feel free to reach out there. And now, if you have any questions, I'm ready to take a few questions. If not, I will pass it over to Yetinat.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Manuel. Yeah, it's your time usage is perfect. Yeah, you manage it well. So, to the audience, if you have a question, you can raise on the message box, or you can unmute yourself and raise your discussion. Yeah, I think it's a large amount of audience, so it will be preferable to raise in the message box and he will answer on it.
Yeah, that's okay. So I have a question from Ethiopian boy. He's asking, how can I learn about cybersecurity and ethical hacking? So what I would recommend for you is, if you have the interest to go in this specific field, you have mentioned that you are currently working in the health science. One of the advantages about the IT field is there is already a very vast amount of information that's available out there on the internet that you can use to get started on. You really don't have to go specifically on any paid or any premium kind of specific, I would say, training providers. But you can just go and do a quick YouTube search, Google search, and that would give you a lot of information, and you can get started on that. and afterwards you can go and develop your skill, keep your energy up, and make sure that you are investing all of your energy and time in it, because cybersecurity really requires a lot of time and focusing energy to have an excellent status on this specific field. So there is a lot of information out there, but you can start with YouTube and Google, and you can get started off of that. I have another question. How can we get your presentation after at the end? We have tried to record the session. If the recording comes out in a good quality, I mean the audio and the video, we will share the link with you guys, or we'll put it on a YouTube channel, and we'll share the link with everybody in a couple of days. Another question: can I study masters in cybersecurity? Of course, there is a lot of opportunities. There is a lot of organizations that are giving this specific master's degree in cybersecurity. I'm not sure where in Ethiopia we can get this, but there are a lot of organizations that are giving the master's degree. You can also try an online master's degree if you are interested in, if you have that kind of access. But yes, it's doable. Okay, there is Stuart has commented. There is Mr. Daniels who has I think tutorials. I believe this is regarding information security. danielmesser.com/study. If everyone can go into the message section, you can see the link that Stuart has shared. Feel free and go and check the link and get some more information out of that. Antanach, can I learn hacking without advanced skills in coding? I would say yes, because you just need to understand the basic codings in basic programming language to be a really good hacker. But I would say you definitely need to have a knowledge in operating systems. Operating systems would be a very good way to start, Antanach. Highly, as I said, there is a lot of information you can access online. Feel free to contact me on LinkedIn if you require any more specific guidance. Mulukan, is there a CS certification area in Ethiopia? I believe so, but because of COVID, you can easily take online classes, and there are some companies that also provide CH classes, but trainers usually need to travel from abroad, so most trainings are being conducted online in recent times. Ayala, we will definitely do that in the next sessions. Perfect. Yeah. I don't see any other questions, Gitanet.
Okay, thank you, Amanuel. To remind you again, there is a Telegram group. We created a Telegram group to discuss on it, specifically on the cybersecurity math. So you can find from the message box and join the room, and we can raise a discussion. Whenever he is available, he will give some points. And I also share his LinkedIn profile, so you can contact him there. And I also share the Telegram program. You can connect with Telegram channels and groups. You can raise discussions there. Okay, thank you. It's a great pleasure to having you to our program. So once you mind, today's program is one of the part of the program in World Cybersecurity Month program, which is celebrated in October month. So in today's program, Amanuel Wubie was our presenter or our guest presenter. So to remind him, he's a security guy, He has so many certifications from different organizations, international organizations, and he worked for different institutions in Ethiopia, and he has also some experiences in hacking and security. So thank you, Amanuel. Our program will continue to next week this time, and in general we have 4 programs including today's program. So let me give one chance, and you can summarize your daily works. You can use your mic now, Manuel.
Thank you, Ethernet. Again, thank you for organizing the session. It was a pleasure to meet everyone here. I saw some very interested and passionate guys in the chat box, as well as a lot of people have attended the session. Thank you everyone for attending the session. እና አመሰግናለሁ፣ ወዳችኋለሁ። ኔክስት ዊክ ደግሞ ተገናኝተን በደንብ በዲቴይል ሁለተኛውን ኮምፖነንት አብረን ብናይ ደስ ይለኛል። ሪች አውት ለማድረግ ለምትፈልጉ፣ ኮኔክት ለማድረግ ለምትፈልጉ ሰዎች በሙሉ ሊንክድኢን ላይ አቬሌብል ስለሆንኩኝ ኤኒ ታይም ኮኔክት አድርጉኝ፣ መጻፍ ትችላላችሁ። በጣም አመሰግናለሁ። ቴንክ ዩ ፎር ኤቭሪዋን።
Okay, thank you, Amanuel. Again, I would like to say thank you for attending this program. So thank you. See you there tomorrow, next week, this time. Thank you again. Good afternoon and good evening.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks
bye.
so much. Have a good one. All right. Bye.